I was raised a hardcore Christian. As a matter of fact, I was adopted, and a clause in my adoption said that I had to be adopted to a Christian family. So my beliefs were preset in stone long before I ever had a choice in the matter. I was always at church. My dad was an elder, he was an usher, he was a treasurer. My mom was in the choir, she was a Sunday school teacher. I was the president of the youth group when I grew up and got a little older. I was an usher. I was an acolyte. I was always at church for some reason, whether it was a meeting or a choir practice or something. I was always there. I was always there. So as I grew up, literally in the church, I had lots of responsibilities because, it just seemed to be the shoe that fit. It was natural for me to fall into the role of the usher and the acolyte and things like this because that's what my family did, right? So when I grew up and got old enough to make up my own mind, the things kind of started to seem a little bit less sacred to me because it's kind of weird when the pastor goes up to the altar during the church service. He's very reverent and bows before and takes one step and is it's a religious moment, and everything is supposed to be wear a certain thing and act a certain way and bow your head and all of this. Yet just before the service would start, if we had an audio problem, one of the things that I did was I was in charge of the microphones, and I recorded the service for the people who were sick or the elderly who couldn't make it. So before the service, I'm running up to the altar to wire a cable or this or that, and it's like nobody's there. Am I supposed to bow? Do I do the things that the pastor is doing during the service? Even though nobody's here and God's looking, so maybe I should, but I don't have time for that. People are starting to come in, and so that was always kind of a weird moment, and I carried that with me throughout my life, that feeling that if the church service isn't happening, how do you act in church? Because I was always in the church for whatever reason, like I said, so that was strange. And when I got into college, I was thousands of miles away from my congregation, and I'm suddenly sitting in the congregation, and I felt like that was kind of boring. I wasn't a part of the show anymore, So that's one thing that kind of was like, well, if I can't be a part of it all, maybe I either need to be a minister, maybe I need to go actually get back involved with this, or, something else. So I ended up choosing something else. One of the things that I always thought was kind of funny was, well, two things actually, involving communion. One of them was going to the liquor store to buy the wine, because in Lutheran churches, they actually drink wine and not grape juice. So we would go to the same place where you would buy a porno magazine, a bottle of tequila, a carton of cigarettes, and the blood of Christ. What's that? I always thought that was kind of a weird thing that I was suddenly at the liquor store, helping to carry the wine back to the church. So I thought that was kind of strange. It wasn't special anymore. It's like, well, anybody can buy this wine. What makes it so special? And another thing that was kind of funny was the wafers that we didn't call a Eucharist. It was just the wafer, but I would eat those things as snacks because I would put on my little gown in the same room where all that stuff was kept, and of course I'm in there by myself, and I've got to wait in there until all of the congregation comes into the church and sits down, and then I go light the candles. So I'm just back there waiting. I'm a kid, bored. Well, I'm almost to the age to where I can eat these things with the congregation. Wonder what they taste like. So I would eat them, take some with me when I left. My experience when I first went to communion was, you're sitting in the pews with your parents as a little kid and watching them go up and have the sacred meal, and they come back and you kind of wonder what just happened. Why? First of all, why can't I do this? And second of all, what's it like? Why do you do it? When they tell you, well, you're participating in a ceremony where and they tell you all about the Last Supper and this and that, and then you understand, oh wow, this is a real special thing. And then you finally get to do it, and nothing happens. Nothing happens except for a taste of bad wine and a tasteless wafer. So I always thought that was kind of strange too. So all of these strange happenings that made me kind of lose faith in faith. As I grew older, well, one thing that happened to me was I went away to college. I was thousands of miles away from anybody who cared. The people who made sure that I was in church on Sunday and made sure that I was a good boy, were far, far away. So now it's like, if I'm gonna be my own person, now's the time, right? So, yeah, as I said, I was suddenly in the congregation, and I wasn't a part of the whole, festivities. And I'm sitting in the pew. We're singing the same songs. We're chanting the same prayers. It was trying to be the same. We have this continuity, thousands of miles away. Only it wasn't the same. So, I started doing a lot of reading. I was thinking about becoming a pastor. It's like that was one of the things that I thought I could become. So I did a lot of reading, and I thought, okay, I'm going to challenge my beliefs. I'm going to read some books by atheists. I'm going to read some books by people who say that Christianity is just a pack of lies. And I'm going to see if, this is either going to solidify my beliefs, or it's going to free me from this. And I didn't really have that thought exactly, but that was exactly what happened. It made sense. It made sense. I started reading about sun worship and how it's played a part in religion. I started reading about sacred plants, and oh wow, take and eat. Really? Now when you take and eat, a shamanic medicine, it does something. You don't have to rely on faith. And that's one thing that Dennis McKenna hits really hard, is you don't need faith. Faith is not an option when it comes to shamanism. As a matter of fact, check your faith at the door, right? So that made a lot of sense. It all made a lot of sense suddenly. I got it, and I don't think that would have happened had I stayed in that small little town, in that little routine of weekly going and brainwashing myself, so to speak. That wouldn't have happened had I not separated myself from all of that and just became my own person. So I'm really thankful that I went so far away, for college. So questioning my beliefs, yeah, that's, if you can question your beliefs and still have the same beliefs, hey, good for you, But if you can question your beliefs and not, well, maybe, that's what people should do. I think no matter what your beliefs are, they should be questioned. They should be able to stand up to scrutiny.